Ethan Carter, when exactly are you planning to marry me? We've been engaged for 10 years. With the buzz of alcohol loosening my tongue, I finally blurted out the question I had buried in my heart for so many years. The private dining room instantly fell into silence. All eyes turned toward us. Across from me, Ethan paused in the middle of taking a drink. Out of the corner of his eye, he looked at me. He set his glass down on the table, neither too lightly nor too harshly. His thin lips curled into a displeased frown. Olivia, today is your brother's birthday. Can you not bring up something so irrelevant? Irrelevant. That word hit my chest like a hammer. I stared at Ethan for a long time, long enough that my eyes began to burn. I picked up the glass in front of me and tilted my head back, drinking it all in one go, using the motion to cover the tears welling up in my eyes. After letting out a breath, I forced a smile. All right. I won't talk about it. Not now, not ever again. I had known for a long time that Ethan never wanted to marry me. I was just too stubborn, asking over and over again, even going so far as to prepare the wedding rings myself. How pathetic. But I didn't expect that even this comment of mine would somehow provoke him. Suddenly, his face darkened in anger. We've been engaged for 10 years. When it's time, I'll marry you. What's the point of being so aggressive about it? He stared at me with a heavy gaze, as if I were forcing him to make an unbearably difficult decision. Can't you be more like Sarah, gentle, understanding? Instead of pestering me every day about whether we're getting married or not. I don't want to get married right now, all right? Sarah again. Sarah was a financially struggling student I had sponsored years ago. She was top of her class and beautiful too. The day she got accepted into Columbia University, she called me, overjoyed. She had nowhere to live, and since I had extra space at home, I arranged for her to stay with me. She was deeply grateful. Every day after school, she cooked and did the laundry, keeping the house perfectly in order. She learned quickly, and I enjoyed teaching her things. We got along very well. But when did things begin to change? Was it the day I returned from abroad? Or the day she begged me to help her get into Ethan's company as an intern? At first, Ethan had nothing but a bad attitude towards Sarah. Or maybe he was angry at me for speaking on her behalf and pushing to get her into his company. Early on, he would glare at me and question coldly, "What? Are you trying to plant someone in my company? Why are you forcing her in here? What are my employees supposed to think? Or are you trying to get someone to spy on me? That's disgusting." His words were harsh, and I didn't hold back either. Sarah passed the interview on her own merit. The interviewer found out she was connected to me and tried to reject her. So what if I stepped in for her? Do you think I wanted to push her into your company? If she hadn't begged me nonstop, I wouldn't have let her go there, just to be treated like trash. That final jab, ungrateful, made Ethan so angry he couldn't speak. He slammed down his words. He would make sure Sarah didn't have an easy time. I backed her up. I told Sarah she could come work at my company anytime. That was when Sarah vowed to me, full of confidence, "Don't worry, Liv. I'll make Mr. Carter regret it." And she did. From the beginning, when Ethan looked down on her and snapped at me about her constantly, to now, where he can't go 3 sentences without praising her, saying how thoughtful and capable she is, how gentle and understanding, but all I feel is pain. Pain that I had misjudged someone so badly. Memories wrapped around me like strands of thread, choking me, mocking my blind devotion. I lowered my gaze. "Ethan Carter, let's cancel our engagement." But before I could finish my sentence, the door to the private room suddenly swung open. A young woman in a white dress walked in gracefully, carrying a cake. Her sleeves were dusted with flour and cream. "Sorry I'm not late, am I?" The moment Ethan saw Sarah, his tense expression relaxed. A flicker of tenderness flashed in his eyes. Then he let out a light, cold snort in my direction, as if to say, "See how gentle and understanding Sarah is?" I looked at the expression on his face and gave a bitter smile. Sarah rushed into the room, completely unaware of the tension lingering in the air. She spoke cheerfully. "Liv, this cake was really hard to make. I messed up several times. It doesn't look great, but I made it myself, so you better not complain, birthday boy." As she said this, she playfully winked at my younger brother, Ryan, who was sitting beside me. Ryan, who had been glued to his phone the entire time, looked up. His face lit up with a trace of excitement, though he tried to keep up a cool, uninterested front. "I don't want it," he muttered, but his body betrayed him as he stood up and took the cake from Sarah's hands without hesitation. Then, without a second thought, he grabbed the unopened cake already on the table and tossed it aside, letting it land carelessly at the corner. That was the custom cake I had ordered in advance, going out of my way to pick it up from the east side of town before coming here. And now it was discarded like trash. I watched as Ryan solemnly placed Sarah's homemade cake right in the center of the table, and a sharp pain jabbed through my chest. Sarah called out to everyone, urging them to come over and make a wish. "Come try it. I made it myself." I remembered how earlier, when I'd told everyone it was time to cut the cake, Ryan didn't say a word, and no one in the room moved. I'd ended up drinking just to cover the awkwardness. But now, with just one sentence from Sarah, everyone immediately gathered around, including Ethan. Whether it was intentional or not, Sarah just so happened to stand right in front of me, blocking my view. Facing the eager group, she raised her voice and said in a sweet but firm tone, "Hold on. Nobody touch anything yet. I'll cut the cake." She unwrapped it, revealing a cake that didn't exactly look impressive. Her face turned slightly pink with embarrassment, but Ethan quickly stepped in to show support. "You can tell you put a lot of effort into it. It's really well done." Sarah's face lit up with joy. "Really? Thank you, Ethan." Then she turned to Ryan. "What do you think, Ryan?" Ryan clearly didn't like that Ethan spoke first. He paused deliberately, making Sarah wait in suspense. Her expression began to dim as he kept her hanging, but finally he spoke. "Looks okay. Thanks for the effort." Just that, and Sarah smiled brightly again. The others quickly joined in with exaggerated praise, chatting all at once. I felt completely out of place in that atmosphere. After 2 more drinks, I picked up my bag and got ready to leave. That's when Ryan turned and looked at me. Noticing I hadn't joined the group, he scoffed. "Sis, it's my birthday. Could you maybe not ruin the mood with that sour face? No wonder Ethan doesn't want to marry you. If you ask me, you should work on your attitude. Stop being so pushy all the time. If you were more sweet and gentle like Sarah, Ethan would have been your husband a long time ago. The people closest to you always know where to strike the deepest." Ethan's gaze casually swept toward me too. With a faint snort, he added, "She'll never learn. Don't compare her to Sarah." I'd heard this kind of talk from them so many times, but somehow, tonight, it hurt more than ever. Sarah shot the 2 of them a glare. "That's enough, both of you. Don't talk to Olivia like that." Then she turned to me. "Liv, I'll teach them a lesson for you." She dipped her finger in some frosting and, laughing, tried to smear it on both Ryan and Ethan's faces. Ryan quickly retaliated, grabbing some cream and preparing to go all in for a full-blown frosting war. Ethan, on the other hand, just looked at her indulgently, letting her smudge the cream across his cheek without resistance. Sarah then turned to chase Ryan, and Ethan gently reminded her, "Be careful. Don't trip." Ryan dashed around the room, teasing Sarah every few seconds, making her cheeks flush with frustration. Watching the whole scene unfold, I suddenly felt so completely and utterly out of place. I stood up and walked out of the private room without looking back. Just before the door closed, I heard Sarah, breathless and laughing, say, all right, we haven't even made a wish yet. Ryan, come on, it's time. Don't let my hard work go to waste." Then came Ryan's voice, loud and clear. "My wish is that you'll spend every birthday from now on with me." With a soft thud, the door shut behind me, cutting off the sounds from inside. It shut me out completely. I looked up at the pitch-black night outside. The wall clock showed it was exactly midnight. I remembered a time, not so long ago, when Ryan's birthday wish had been, "I hope my sister will be with me on every birthday from now on. Please don't be busy with work all the time. I just want you there with me." Now I was walking alone down an empty street, my nose tingling from the cold and my heart colder still. Our parents passed away early. When I was 18, I had to carry the entire weight of the family on my own. Over the years, I became tough and sharp, learning to survive. But that, it seems, became the very reason they resented me. So now, this family, this brother, and even Ethan Carter, I didn't want any of them anymore. None of it. Pushing all those thoughts aside, I went home and fell into bed, sleeping deeply for the first time in what felt like forever. When I woke up, my head was clear. My company was in the process of expanding overseas. I decided to move the entire core operation abroad. I had originally planned to bring Ryan into the company to learn the business, but he had flat out refused. I hadn't even gotten the chance to give him any shares, which now saved me the trouble of taking anything back. There were a few active projects left to wrap up, which would take about 2 more weeks, just enough time for me to sell off the assets that couldn't be moved abroad easily. I sat down at my desk and made a list. Among the items were the diamond engagement ring Ethan had given me 10 years ago and the villa I'd been living in for years. I sent the list to my assistant, adding notes about what I needed to be done. He hesitated, sounding unsure. "If you've got something to say, just say it," I told him. He took a deep breath. "Liv, I've been meaning to tell you for a long time now. That clueless fiancé and that ungrateful little brother, you should have cut them off a long time ago. Do you even realize how big the Stone family business is now? You've had suitors lining up year after year. You could marry into royalty and still be out of their league. Ethan Carter? He's nothing. And your brother? He's lazy, spoiled, and a total ingrate. All he knows how to do is burn through the money you work your ass off to earn and stress you out. That's it. Leave it to me. I'll handle everything for you, Liv. I swear I'll get it all sorted out." He hung up so fast it was like he was afraid I'd change my mind. Afterward, I sat there, feeling a bitter kind of emptiness. So everyone around me had seen things clearly. Everyone but me. Just then, a knock sounded at the door. It was Sarah. Her voice came from outside. "Liv, are you awake?" I'd forgotten she was still staying here. It was only supposed to be for 2 more weeks, but right now, I didn't want to see her at all. And honestly, I didn't need to hold back anymore. I slowly tidied my desk, shut the laptop, and then went to open the door. She was still wearing the same dress from last night, but now there was a visible hickey on her neck. She noticed where I was looking and tried to cover it, speaking in a bashful tone. "I had a few drinks with Ryan last night. Ethan drove us back pretty late. You were already asleep." Her words were vague, deliberately so, leaving me to guess who the mark was from. But I didn't have time for her games anymore. The company needed my attention. "Sarah, pack up your things." She blinked, confused. "Pack up?" I let out a cold laugh. "You said before that you were afraid your college roommates would judge you for being from the countryside, that they'd bully you. You said you couldn't afford rent, didn't have a place to stay. I felt sorry for you. That's why I let you live in my house. But now you're working, you have a paycheck. Pack up your stuff and get out." That one sentence, "get out of my house," hit her like a slap. Her eyes immediately filled with tears. "Liv, why are you suddenly kicking me out? Did I do something wrong?" she asked, choking up. "Even last night, I was still thinking about your stomach problems. I made porridge for you, set an alarm to get up and wake you to drink it. I didn't even change my clothes." Just then, a furious voice came from behind me. "Olivia Stone, what's your problem?" Ryan stormed out of his room, yanking Sarah protectively behind him. "Brr, you're kicking Sarah out? Are you serious?" Sarah, flustered, tugged at Ryan's sleeve. "Ryan, don't be like this. Liv's probably just in a bad mood. It's okay, I have some money saved up from work. I'll move out today. She should go find herself a place to live." Sarah put on the air of being completely understanding, which only made Ryan feel even more sorry for her. He gently wiped away the tears from her cheeks and said, "You spent all your savings to buy me that birthday gift. How would you have anything left to rent an apartment?" I leaned against the doorframe and glanced at the limited edition mechanical watch on Ryan's wrist. I figured it must have been the birthday gift from Sarah. No wonder she had come to me a while ago asking to borrow money. When I asked what for, she stammered and refused to explain. I let out a sharp, angry laugh. Ryan turned to look at me, his expression full of disgust. "What's your problem? Just because Ethan turned you down last night, you're taking it out on Sarah now? Can't you take a good look at yourself for once?" The fury that had been boiling in my chest finally exploded. I didn't hold back. I slapped Ryan hard across the face. "You eat my food, wear the clothes I bought, live under my roof, and now you dare speak to me like that? Have I been too good to you, Ryan?" He was stunned for several seconds before he reacted, glaring at me, his face twisted in fury, but in the end, he didn't dare raise a hand back. I sneered. You care about Sarah so much? Fine. Move out with her. Oh, and you're an adult now. You don't need to rely on your sister anymore, right? I'm cutting off your card. I shot one last glance at the two of them, then slammed the door shut behind me. Ryan's angry shouts echoed from the hallway. Olivia. What the hell is wrong with you? You really think I can't survive without you? You're way too full of yourself. If Mom and Dad hadn't died early, you think I'd even want to live with a cold, heartless woman like you? You're always acting like you're going through menopause, bossing me around, controlling everything I do. That's all you're good for. No wonder Ethan doesn't want you. Come on, Sarah, let's go. Their footsteps faded down the hallway. I leaned against the door, listening to everything. I thought I'd already become numb to it all, but my heart still ached. I remembered the days when I had to hold up the entire Stone family after our parents passed, while also taking care of Ryan, who was only 10 years old at the time. I barely had time for him because of work, but every time I came home, he'd cling to me. He used to feel sorry for me staying up late working. No matter how tired he was, he'd sit with me and keep me company. He even taught himself how to cook at such a young age. I had terrible stomach issues from overwork, and we used to huddle together to stay warm and cheer each other on. Back then, his eyes were so sincere. He once promised me, when I grow up, I'll protect you from everything. But the brutal world of business forced me to grow up fast. I became stronger, sharper. He grew up too, started forming his own opinions. I thought he would understand. I thought he'd appreciate what I did for us. I thought blood ties couldn't be broken. But at some point, Ryan began to resent me. He hated the classes I scheduled for him, hated the friends I introduced, hated every single plan I made. Even yesterday's birthday party, I'd invited wealthy heirs and daughters of prominent families to help build his network. But he insisted on calling up his drinking buddies, partying in a private room till they were all wasted. I was left apologizing on his behalf, swallowing my pride just to spend the evening with him. And what did it all lead to? In the end, even the bond of family meant nothing. The only person I could truly rely on was myself. I should have realized that sooner. Once I got my emotions under control, I threw myself fully into work. There were still countless procedures to complete for relocating the company overseas. I was constantly on the move, barely stopping to catch my breath. One afternoon, while I was reviewing documents at my desk, my assistant brought in lunch. He looked uneasy. Liv, Ethan Carter's here. No sooner had he spoken than the office door swung open. Ethan walked in, dressed in a black suit, face dark with anger. He didn't care that my assistant was still in the room, or that employees were passing by the door. He barked at me without hesitation. What did you say to Sarah? She hasn't shown up to work in 3 days. If you have a problem with me, take it up with me. Why are you making things difficult for a young woman? Outside the door, footsteps quickly shuffled past, trying to avoid the scene. People passing by didn't dare to listen, didn't want to hear what they shouldn't. My assistant looked furious, wanting to speak up for me, but I silenced him with a single look. I motioned for him to leave. Reluctantly, he set down the lunchbox and left the office, glancing back 3 times before finally closing the door. Now it was just Ethan and me in the room. He tugged at his tie in frustration, clearly annoyed. Olivia, you're almost 30. Why are you competing with some fresh-out-of-college girl? Just call Sarah back already. As for our engagement, I'll move it up on the schedule. He turned away from me, as if he couldn't even be bothered to look at me. I sat back in my chair, arms crossed, staring at him with cold amusement. Slowly, I asked, so that mark on Sarah's neck, was that you? Ethan's body visibly tensed. After a brief pause, he turned back to me with an expression of calm, like he didn't care. Since you already figured it out, there's no point in hiding it. That night, she and Ryan had too much to drink. I told the driver to take them home. Ryan fell asleep in the car and she was a little too excited from the alcohol. I didn't control myself, but it had nothing to do with her. You don't have to worry. The future Mrs. Carter will still be you. I'll take care of things with her. I actually laughed. So this is what it looks like when you cheat before the marriage even happens. Disgusting. Ethan didn't even flinch, like he was used to conversations like this. You don't have to say it like that. Be honest, when I wasn't around, didn't you ever look for someone else? I'll admit, I was really into you a few years ago. Maybe that's just faded now. Faded? I stared at him, and for a moment, I was reminded of how it all began. Back then, my company was on the brink of collapse. I couldn't sleep for days. I was worn out, physically and mentally. Ethan felt sorry for me. He helped me with the business, handled things with my family. And the night I finally turned things around, we were both so thrilled. We opened a bottle of champagne in celebration. One thing led to another, and we ended up in bed. In the middle of everything, he held me tightly and whispered that he would never leave me. That night, I really thought I had the whole world. After that, whenever I felt anxious or overwhelmed, I would go to him. I used him as an outlet. I became more and more dependent on him. But slowly, he lost interest. He started brushing me off. I took a deep breath. You're right, I've lost interest too. Ethan Carter, I've been meaning to tell you. Let's call off the engagement. I won't chase after you anymore. Be with whoever you want. We're done. Ethan froze. He stared at me in disbelief, and after 2 seconds, his eyes narrowed in contempt. Trying to play hard to get won't work on me. If you're doing this to make me want you more, it won't happen. All you'll get is an official cancellation of the engagement. Then cancel it, I said, completely unfazed. His expression darkened. The office fell into a heavy silence. He stared at me, eyes clouded with anger. I calmly opened the lunchbox in front of me. It had my favorite fish dish today. I began eating, not even glancing in his direction again. After a while, Ethan let out a sharp, angry breath. 10 years, Olivia. Don't regret this. Then he turned and stormed out of the company. I didn't care. I kept eating. I hadn't even finished my lunch when the landline rang. It was a call from the family estate. Miss Olivia, said Uncle John on the other end. His voice panicked. You need to come right away. Please do something about Master Ryan. He's going to destroy the whole house. I drove straight there without delay. Uncle John explained that Ryan had brought Sarah to the estate a few days ago. Without telling anyone, he had secretly sold off a lot of the family's belongings. Worse, the two of them had been all over each other, completely ignoring where they were or who might be watching. And today it had escalated, right inside the ancestral hall. If Uncle Zhang hadn't randomly decided to stop by and pay respects to my parents, he didn't even realize what he had done. My car screeched to a stop in front of the family estate. I headed straight for the ancestral hall. From a distance, I could already hear Ryan and Uncle Zhang arguing loudly. Ryan was furious. You damn old man, this is the Stone family estate, my estate. Who gave you the guts to call my sister? Uncle Zhang, out of breath and shaking with anger, snapped back. How dare you, Ryan? You've crossed the line. Bringing a girl like that into the ancestral hall, flirting and fooling around in front of your parents' memorial tablets, you've brought shame to the entire Stone family. I didn't do anything, Ryan shouted. Look, we're fully dressed, aren't we? And if my sister shows up and you say one wrong word, his voice cut off the moment I stepped into the ancestral hall. The room hadn't been physically damaged, but the flushed faces of Ryan and Sarah spoke volumes. Sarah stood there, looking weak and pitiful, trying to appear innocent. I felt a cold anger rise inside me, along with a deep sadness. Ryan, I said quietly, do you even know what you're doing? This estate had once been sold off just so I could raise funds to save the company. When things finally turned around, I bought it back. But neither Ryan nor I ever moved back in. I didn't dare to. I was afraid our parents would blame me. I was scared the ancestors would curse me. I couldn't even sleep well here, because no respectable family would ever sell off their ancestral home, no matter how desperate, no matter how down and out they were. But I had no choice. Better to gamble everything than sit here and wait to starve. Even so, I carried guilt. I asked Uncle Zhang to watch over the place and come talk to Mom and Dad whenever he could. I spent years tracking down and repurchasing every piece of furniture and decor that had been sold, restoring the estate to how it used to be. Even now, as I prepared to move the company abroad, I never once considered touching the estate again. And what had Ryan done? Selling off the heirlooms was one thing. I could buy them back again. But to do this? To be intimate with Sarah in the ancestral hall, in a place filled with grief, reverence, and solemnity, right in front of Mom and Dad. I knew Ryan had changed. I knew his personality had become selfish, reckless, but I never imagined he'd become this disgraceful. So utterly shameless. Ryan looked panicked, trying to explain. Sis, it's not what it looks like. Sarah suddenly stepped in front of him. Liv, it was my fault. Don't blame Ryan, please. But Ryan yanked her back behind him. Stop it. Don't make it worse. My sister's really mad this time. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. It's all my fault. If it weren't for me, this wouldn't have happened. What should we do now? The two of them were performing their little act again, and I could only laugh in disbelief. Uncle Jong, I said flatly, call the police. Let them explain everything at the station. The second Ryan heard the word police, he exploded. Olivia, you're really gonna call the cops over something like this? If this gets out, how am I supposed to show my face in society? I know I shouldn't have done that with Sarah in here, he went on, his voice rising. But, come on, they're just memorial tablets. They're not even alive. You're really going to call the cops over that? Just memorial tablets. I stepped forward. Maybe it was the coldness in my voice or the look on my face, but Ryan backed up a little, suddenly unsure. I walked past him and gently touched the name plaques of our parents. My voice dropped, quiet and aching. Do you remember, Ryan, after Mom and Dad first passed? You missed them so much. You'd come here at night and curl up in a little ball on the floor. I couldn't find you anywhere, and finally I saw you asleep, hugging Mom's memorial. Your eyes were swollen from crying. I told you to go back to your room, but you refused. In the end, I had to set up a small bed here and sleep next to you. I asked if you were scared. You told me no. You said, this is my family. It's Mom and Dad. I turned to look at him. Ryan pressed his lips together tightly. Something flickered in his eyes. His lashes trembled and his eyes turned red. Ryan, I said softly, you didn't used to be like this. This is Mom and Dad, I said. With a heavy thud, Ryan dropped to his knees. His voice cracked with guilt and panic. I'm sorry, Liv. I wasn't thinking. I shook my head. That apology isn't for me. You owe it to Mom and Dad. But they won't forgive you. And they can't anymore. He looked up at me, eyes filled with regret. Whether that remorse was real or just another performance, I couldn't say. I was too focused on work, too negligent with you. I failed as your sister. From this moment on, you and I have nothing to do with each other. Don't ever go out and tell people you're my brother. I'm done carrying that shame. Right at that moment, the police arrived. Ryan instantly panicked. Liv, what are you saying? You're cutting me off? You froze my card. I let that go. But what do you mean we have nothing to do with each other? We're siblings. We share the same parents. How can we not be connected? I won't accept this. I won't. One of the officers glanced at me with surprise. Miss Stone, based on our investigation, Mr. Ryan and Miss Sarah sold off items from your estate without your permission. The total amount exceeds several million. We have physical evidence and witnesses. We'll take it from here. Another officer nodded. We'll handle it by the book. As they moved to take them away, Sarah suddenly broke down. Liv, Ryan thrashed wildly, refusing to cooperate. What law says I can't sell my own family's stuff? Liv, say something. Say something. I watched them both being escorted out. It didn't make me feel any better. Afterward, I stayed behind and cleaned the entire ancestral hall, every corner. When I finished, I knelt on the prayer mat and bowed deeply. Mom, Dad, please don't blame me. Then, I instructed Uncle Jong to lock up the estate, completely. No one would be allowed inside again, not even me. By the time everything was settled, the sky had already gone dark. The police soon confirmed the charges against Ryan and Sarah and called me in to sign the paperwork. I drove back to the station. Ryan looked as defiant as ever, but Sarah was clearly shaken. She kept pleading with the officers to let her make a phone call. I knew exactly who she wanted to call, Ethan. The police ignored her, so I walked over and handed her my phone. She hesitated for a second, then snatched it and hurried to a corner to make the call. Watching her from behind, I couldn't help but laugh. She really thought marrying into wealth was that easy? Then I turned toward Ryan, who had been rambling non-stop. The moment he saw me, whatever insult he had prepared died in his throat. His voice dropped. Sis, I'm begging you. I know I messed up. I cut him off. Are you and Sarah together now? Ryan, realizing he still had to rely on me to get out of jail, quickly softened. Not officially. She hasn't said yes yet. Then do you know where that hickey on her neck came from the night of your birthday? I asked. Ryan's face tensed. That night, she helped me back to my room. I couldn't help myself. I kissed her. So what? Why are you so against Sarah anyway? At his words, everything clicked. I gave him a cold smile. Funny, Ethan told me the same thing today. Except he said it happened in the car while you were asleep. So tell me, who do you think Sarah was so desperate to call just now? Ryan's face went pale. What? What are you saying? I didn't bother answering. I turned, took my phone back, and left without another word. It was no surprise that Ethan would pull strings to get both of them out. I was too busy preparing to move overseas to waste time chasing them around. But that didn't mean I wouldn't leave them a little mess to deal with. Sure enough, on the third day, the police called me. Someone had paid off the full amount and repurchased the stolen items. They asked whether I still wanted to press charges or drop the case. Let it go, I said. Thank you for all your help, officers. And it was today that I made the public announcement, declaring that Ryan had been officially expelled from the Stone family. The news caused quite a stir online. He'd always been arrogant and reckless, making enemies everywhere he went. In the past, people held back for the sake of my reputation and Ethan's, but now, all that goodwill had vanished. My assistant told me Ryan showed up at the company trying to see me, only to be thrown out by security. He kept coming back for several days, relentless. When he couldn't catch me at the office, he waited outside the villa, though he didn't know that villa was already in the process of being sold. That afternoon, my assistant asked if I wanted to attend an auction. Among the items being sold was the engagement ring Ethan had given me. Back then, he had poured all his savings into buying that ring. It was a classic design, a timeless piece that had held its value. The auction house had specifically requested my attendance. I thought about it, my evening was open, so I agreed. What I didn't expect was that Ethan and Sarah would show up too. She wore a cocktail gown, her arm wrapped around Ethan's, and we ran into each other right at the entrance. Everyone in our social circle knew that Ethan and I had been engaged. And now, the fiancé meets the mistress. Of course, they stopped to watch the drama unfold. Sarah froze when she saw me, instinctively pulling her hand away from Ethan's arm. Ethan frowned and immediately tightened his grip, refusing to let her retreat. Ethan, she whispered. He looked down at her. You're my date tonight. Sarah blinked innocently and nodded, her cheeks pink with shyness. People were waiting to see how I'd react. I barely glanced at them and walked straight past. They entered before me. Behind me I heard Sarah's voice, anxious and flustered. Liv, this is all just a misunderstanding, isn't it? Ethan snorted. What does it matter? Maybe I should leave, Sarah murmured. Leave and go where? Ethan snapped. You think it's safe with that lunatic Ryan still looking for you? After that, their voices became too muffled to make out. I lowered my head and texted my assistant. Whether by coincidence or design, my seat was right next to Ethan's. Throughout the night, he kept glancing at me. From time to time, he'd lean closer to Sarah, whispering things to her, touching her hair, letting his arm rest casually behind her chair, clearly trying to provoke me. But I wasn't watching them. My attention was focused on the stage, on the jewelry being auctioned. Ethan, that bracelet is so beautiful, Sarah gushed, her eyes sparkling. If you like it, he smiled, I'll get it for you. A lavish gesture for a pretty face. The camera flashes lit up the room like fireworks. Dozens of photographers turned their lenses on them. And I, sitting next to them, inevitably appeared in the frame. I was debating whether to ask for a seat change when the ring appeared on stage. The host spoke slowly, confidently introducing it. Ethan's face darkened instantly, his gaze locked onto the small diamond ring on the velvet tray. Of course he recognized it. He had spent everything he had back then to buy it for me. And when the host mentioned that the seller was me, his expression turned pitch black. He turned sharply toward me. Olivia, what kind of game are you playing? His eyes flickered as if something had just occurred to him. He let out a bitter laugh. Putting on a show in front of me? What's the point? You think this is clever? I haven't even held you accountable for accusing Sarah, and now you're here, stirring up more drama? Can't you just stop? His face twisted. part anger over the ring, part fury at what he assumed were my manipulations. But the truth was, I had never played games with Ethan. Not once. When my parents died in that car accident and the Stone family was on the brink of collapse, it was Ethan, who had grown up with me, who stepped forward. Despite opposition from his elders, he insisted on getting engaged to me, using a marriage alliance to buy the Stone family some time. Back then, during Ryan's birthday dinner, he had taken my hand and publicly announced our engagement, shocking everyone. Even after being chewed out by his family that night, he'd comforted me afterward, saying it didn't matter, that it didn't hurt. His eyes then had been like stars in the night sky, bright and warm, lighting the path ahead for me. But now, that star had grown so dim, I couldn't see even the faintest light. Say that again. Ethan's voice suddenly rose sharply, drawing attention from the surrounding guests. Several people turned to look, their faces full of curiosity and intrigue. I turned my head slightly, already irritated. All I did was sell the ring. What's the big deal? Embarrassed, are you? Ethan choked on his words, pointing furiously at the ring on stage. That's the engagement ring I gave you. I rolled my eyes. So what? I can't sell it. Olivia, you, I stood up, cutting him off. I couldn't be bothered to waste another word on him. Ethan quickly stood up as well, signaling an auction staff member, clearly determined to bid on the ring no matter what. Then he rushed out after me. Wearing heels, I couldn't move too fast. He caught up to me within seconds and grabbed my arm. There's press everywhere tonight, he hissed. And you're out here publicly auctioning off our engagement ring. Don't you feel even a shred of shame? I was too tired to argue. My heart just felt heavy. Ethan, let me say it one last time. Our engagement is over. I don't want to marry you. He stared at me in disbelief. Say that again. I could say it 1,000 times, it'd still be true. I, Olivia Stone, don't want to marry you. Right then, Sarah came rushing out. Ethan, I glanced at her. Your date's calling you. Let go. Ethan froze, stunned, then slowly released his grip. Sarah immediately latched onto his arm, clinging to him. I turned and walked away without hesitation. Ethan, I'm sorry, she whispered, her voice trembling. It's my fault you and Liv are fighting. This has nothing to do with you, he replied coldly, his eyes still fixed on my back. I quickened my pace. I had a feeling the real storm was just about to begin. And sure enough, just as I was about to get into my car, I saw a figure charge forward from the crowd. Sarah, what the hell is going on between you and Ethan? Ryan's eyes were blazing as he glared at them, fists clenched. I treated you like my brother-in-law, he spat at Ethan, and you betrayed my sister? You went behind my back for her? The commotion caught the attention of guests and media. Reporters began to rush out from the venue. Ethan immediately let go of Sarah's arm like it was burning him. Ryan, what nonsense are you spouting? But Ryan had already lost control. He lunged at Ethan, and the two of them began to scuffle violently right in front of the cameras. As my car drove away, the scene vanished in the rearview mirror. I couldn't see them anymore, but I already knew how this would play out. And just as I expected, by the next morning, the news was everywhere. 2 men brawling over 1 woman, Ryan Stone and Ethan Carter in public fistfight. It was a disgrace. The scandal affected the Carter family's stock, and Sarah was promptly fired by the Carter group. Plenty of people expressed sympathy for me. Some pitied me for ever being engaged to a man like Ethan. But by then, I was already preparing to leave the country. My assistant stayed behind to handle the aftermath. I had to go first, secure the company, stabilize the business, expand the new market. What I didn't expect was for Sarah to show up in front of my car on the way to the airport. With a loud thud, she dropped to her knees right in front of the vehicle. Liv, I know I was wrong, she sobbed. Please, I want to go overseas with you. Before I could even respond, the driver rolled down his window and cursed, Get the hell out of here. You only show up now because Ryan's broke and you can't latch on to Ethan anymore? Now you suddenly remember our boss? Sarah crawled closer on her knees, reaching the door, pounding on it, tears streaming down her face. I'm sorry, Liv, I lost my mind. Please, just give me one more chance. I slowly lowered the window and asked the question that had been lingering in my heart all along. Was I not good enough to you? Her sobbing stopped for a second. Why? I asked quietly, Why did you place your future in the hands of two men like them? Ryan is all flash and no substance, nothing but a spoiled, self-indulgent brat who doesn't know how to do anything except party. Ethan may come from a good family, he's polished and refined, but when my family was at its lowest, that same family wanted nothing to do with me. They didn't want Ethan marrying me. So you think they'll ever let you in? That you'll ever fly to the top? Sarah stared at me, stunned and speechless. Slowly, her expression crumbled into guilt and shame. I was wrong, Liv, she whispered. I thought they genuinely cared about me. Sarah sobbed, her voice shaking. Now Ryan hates me so much he looks like he wants to kill me. He thinks I stole Ethan from him, that it's my fault you two grew apart, that I caused you to drive him out of the house. He swore he'd never forgive me. The Carter family called me in too. They told me if I dared get close to Ethan again, they'd seriously come after me. Liv, didn't you once say you'd always protect me? I'm begging you. Take me with you, let me go abroad with you. She was crying so hard her face was a mess of snot and tears, but I felt absolutely nothing, not even a flicker of sympathy. Sarah, I said coldly, everyone must face the consequences of their choices. You wanted it all, status, security, love, but when it all blew up in your face, now you want to crawl back to me? I let out a laugh. You should be grateful I didn't completely destroy you. If I had, you wouldn't even need Ryan or the Carter family to finish you off. Sarah's face went pale. Liv. Get lost, I snapped. Unless you want me to throw you off this road myself. She trembled as she stepped back, eventually stumbling to the ground. There wasn't even guilt in her eyes, only fear. Maybe she'd never truly believed she'd done anything wrong in the first place. It was pathetic. Ignorant and pathetic. That brief encounter didn't affect me in the slightest. I arrived at the airport and boarded my flight. My head was filled with plans, strategies for expanding into the overseas market. I had already deactivated all my old contacts. I didn't care who tried to reach out. No one would. A week later, my assistant called, with updates on how things were wrapping up back home. But soon, the conversation shifted to Ethan and Ryan. He told me that Ryan had been staking out the villa, waiting for me. When the new owner of the property arrived, Ryan saw them go in and, thinking they were with me, snuck in behind. Ryan had no money left. A few times, he ran into rich kids he'd once offended and got beaten nearly to death. Still, he waited at the villa, hoping I'd show up and save him. The new owner eventually noticed him and asked what he was doing there. Ryan, full of pride, said, "Where's my sister? Call her back for me. I'm still her brother. Mom and Dad told her to take care of me before they died. She can't treat me like this." Tears welled up in his eyes as he kept ranting. I get it now, okay? I've learned my lesson. Haven't I suffered enough? You really want me to die out here? Just call her. I miss her, all right? The new owner looked at him like he was insane. One of the people nearby explained Ryan's identity, and the man finally understood. His face turned bored, impatient. "Let me make this clear," the owner said. "She sold this place to me. You want to talk to her? Go find her somewhere else. Don't stick around here being an eyesore." Ryan froze. "Sold it? What do you mean, she sold it?" The man nodded and pulled out the deed. "Completely legal, no fakes here." Ryan's face went red. He grabbed the document. No way, this can't be real." He tried to rip it in half, but the owner quickly snatched it back. He signaled for security, and within moments they threw Ryan out. He hit the ground hard. Every inch of him ached. He stared at the door that had just slammed shut, disbelief clouding his face. It has to be fake. This is just another one of Liv's lessons. She wouldn't really abandon me. She wouldn't. Still in denial, he ran to the company building next. But by then, the offices had been emptied out. Only a few employees remained, my assistant among them. Ryan grabbed him. "Where's my sister? Where's our company?" The assistant, who'd long lost any patience for him, shoved him off and brushed his hands off in disgust. "Your sister's gone. She moved abroad." "Your sister doesn't want you anymore," the assistant said flatly. "You've spent your days doing nothing but partying and wasting time. You didn't even know she moved the company overseas. Serves you right. She was running a whole business and still had to take care of you like a child. And how did you repay her? By turning into an ungrateful leech." Ryan's face twisted, his pride bruised. He jumped to defend himself. "No. That's not true. My sister didn't abandon me. The assistant scoffed. You're not ungrateful? Then where were you when Ethan humiliated her? You stood up for him. You sided with him. You're not ungrateful? Then why were you tangled up with Sarah, sneaking around with her in the family shrine, our parents' shrine, saying those words without shame? You're not just ungrateful, you're disgusting. He rolled his eyes and walked away, leaving Ryan frozen where he stood, whispering to himself over and over, I'm not. Suddenly, Ryan turned and bolted toward the old estate. It wasn't until nightfall that he arrived outside the ancestral home, but this time there was no Uncle Zhang waiting at the gate, just a heavy cold chain wrapped around the door. A lock gleamed in the moonlight, and yellow police tape cordoned off the perimeter. Ryan tried to push through. The alarm went off immediately, and several security guards ran out to stop him. This is my house, he shouted. Don't touch me. This is my home. The guards didn't believe a word. Really? Funny, I've been the one guarding it. They grabbed him roughly and shoved him out. Get out. Scram. Who let some random dog wander in here? You show up again and we'll break your legs. Ryan landed hard on the ground, pain searing through his body. He sat there in a daze, staring at the locked gates. In a voice barely above a whisper, he muttered, It has to be fake. This is just her way of teaching me a lesson. She wouldn't really abandon me. She wouldn't. But even he didn't believe it anymore. Still refusing to accept it, he ran to the company building, but by then, it was completely empty. Only a few employees remained, moving boxes or finalizing paperwork. Among them was my assistant. Ryan lunged at him, grabbing his arm. Where's my sister? Where's our company? The assistant had had enough. He shoved Ryan away, then brushed off his sleeve like Ryan had left filth behind. Your sister's gone. She left the country. She left you because you wasted your life, because you turned your back on her. You didn't even know she was moving the company. You didn't know anything, because you never cared enough to look. Those words hit Ryan hard. His pride shattered. His voice shook as he tried to deny it. That's not true. She wouldn't really leave me. But the assistant just stared at him coldly. She did, and you deserve it. Ryan stumbled away, dragging his feet until he collapsed near the sidewalk. His mind kept circling the same thought. She left me. She really left me. Why? He murmured. Sis, I didn't mean to go against you. I just wanted you to pay more attention to me. I just wanted you to stop working so much, to be with me more. But the more I asked, the less time you had. You only threw money at me. You planned my whole life without asking me what I wanted, so I pushed back. Just a little. I didn't think it would lead to all this. He began to sob, curling into himself, shame and regret crashing over him like a tidal wave. I was wrong. I really was. Please, don't leave me. I'll behave. I'll listen. Come back, okay? Sis, please. Somewhere far away, I heard my assistant ask cautiously, Liv, hearing all this, do you regret it? I exhaled slowly and shook my head. No, not at all. I remembered how it started. Ryan's resentment toward me had begun during his teenage years. That was when he became rebellious and uncontrollable, just when the company hit its most vulnerable phase. I had no time to guide him or help him navigate adolescence. But I thought we had survived the hardest part together. He'd seen me exhausted, seen me in my worst state. I believed he understood. I kept telling myself once he grows up, he'll come around. But money corrupts. And when we went abroad, he became even more reckless, further from who he used to be. He lost himself. I also remembered when he returned from overseas. He and Sarah were the same age, and she always looked at him with admiration. Maybe that was when feelings started to grow between them. At the time, I even thought it might be a good match. I believed I hadn't misjudged either of them. But when I asked Sarah about it, she said she only saw Ryan as an older brother. Ryan also said they were just friends. So I let it go. How could I have known it would all spiral into this? People really are unpredictable. Just then, my assistant perked up and added excitedly, Oh, and you'll love this. Sarah's been blacklisted by the entire Carter family. After you left, she still tried to go see Ethan, but the Carters blocked her completely. Industry-wide ban. She's done. He paused, as if remembering something. And Ethan? He came by the company several times looking for you. He showed up the night you flew out. He was holding that ring. Said he'd been thinking. He still wanted to marry me. He actually believed I was just throwing a childish tantrum. When my assistant told him I had gone abroad, Ethan's expression went pale. "She left the country?" he repeated. "Why didn't anyone tell me?" My assistant had calmly replied, "She made the decision 2 weeks ago." That was the night of Ryan's birthday. All the signs Ethan had ignored started flashing through his mind, one by one, connecting into a single thread. That night. Had I already made up my mind to leave? Ethan's breathing grew uneven. He clenched the engagement ring tightly in his hand, then abruptly turned and rushed to find me. But the villa was empty. The old estate had been locked down. Panic began to surge in his chest. He wandered the streets aimlessly, searching for me, calling my number again and again, only to hear the same cold, robotic message every time. "The number you have dialed is no longer in service." Ethan eventually collapsed to his knees on the sidewalk. The ring slipped from his hand and rolled straight into a storm drain. Frantically, he crawled toward it, trying to reach, but it was gone. 10 years, he muttered. "You're so cruel. 10 years of love, and you just walked away like it meant nothing." "Nothing ever happened with Sarah. I didn't do anything. She was the one who pursued me. I've always loved you." He pushed himself up, still gripping the air where the ring had been. Then, suddenly, he laughed. 10 years. I don't believe it. I don't believe you've really let go." From that day forward, Ethan searched for me every day. He tracked down my overseas company address. He said he was going to find me. At this point in the story, my assistant warned me, "Liv, I checked on it this morning. Ethan went to the airport. You should be careful." I wasn't worried. He won't get on that plane. Long before I ever left, I had already sent word to the Carter family. They would never allow Ethan to follow me, not after the public humiliation, not when there was still a family name to protect. Just as expected, the Carter family dragged him back, and then they arranged a marriage for him, immediately. Ethan refused flat out. "I already have a fiancé. I won't accept this." What he got in return was a slap across the face from his mother. 10 years ago, she scolded. "You declared your engagement to that stone girl without our permission. You embarrassed this family. The only reason it didn't destroy us was because Olivia held her own. She built the stone name back up. If it weren't for her, this marriage would have been the laughingstock of the city. But you dragged it out for 10 years, never marrying her. What were you thinking? You fool around in private, fine, but now you've dragged this scandal to the media. You were caught fighting your future brother-in-law over a woman. Have you lost all shame? Here's how it's going to be, Ethan. Either you get married properly, or you get the hell out of this family." But Ethan looked hollow, like something inside him had already died. "I want to marry Liv. I've loved her since we were kids. I fought to be with her, but I lost my way. I shouldn't have treated her like that. I need to find her. I will find her." His mother stared at him with pure disappointment. "You won't. Olivia might look soft, but that girl has a heart like steel. Once she makes up her mind, not even 10 oxen could drag her back. She gave up on her own brother. You think she'll take you back?" Ethan shut himself away in his room, obsessing over everything that reminded him of me. He replayed every memory like a movie on loop, and in the end he got sick. Really sick. I didn't hear about it until 3 months later when his mother called me. "Liv," she said tearfully, "please, just come see him, even if just once, for old time's sake." I listened quietly until she finished. Then I answered, "I'm not a doctor." And I hung up, because yes, I did feel sorry for Ethan, but who ever felt sorry for me when I was 18? Back then, I worked myself to the bone. I gave everything I had, all just so I could one day hold my head high and marry him without shame. So I could make sure Ryan had more options, more resources, a better future. But none of them were worth it. From now on, I love only myself. The end.